Come mai la Champions League tu non la vinci mai.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Brothers of the World podcast. We are filming right after the first game against Lecce. We look pretty good. I think we've got a lot of thoughts to go ahead of this match. We've got our usual guys here. We've got Chino and we've got Hristo. So, there's not too much I can say without hopping straight into the match. So without it, let's just get into it. Yeah, Hristo, you have the lineup, right?
Yep. We expected 3-5-2. We came out in 3-5-2 with Handanovic in the goal. Defense with D'Ambrosio, Ranocchia, and Skriniar. Ranocchia was kind of surprised just because De Vrij got injured while they were warming up for the game. The five-man midfield was consisted of Candreva and Asamoah on the wings, Sensi, BrozoWIN, and Vecino in the midfield, and Lukaku and Lautaro in the attack.
Chino, how did you feel when we saw that De Vrij was not going to make it into the match? Did you feel any nerves? Because I know I did.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it that, after we spent all this money improving the side, that first game of the season, Ranocchia is in the starting lineup in the center of our three defenders or three centre backs. It was amazing. I was kind of nervous for sure.
Honestly, I mean, everybody was excited to see Skriniar and De Vrij back in the defense for us.
Yeah.
But I'm not concerned just because, we have Conte now. And whenever a system is in place, no matter who starts, we have seen throughout Serie A that it's not a problem. Look at Juventus. When Cancelo was injured and he didn't play, De Sciglio played. And he was decent, even though De Sciglio is a dog shit player. And I'm not really scared for that position just because we have De Vrij and Godin coming back. We saw today that Ranocchia was practically invisible, and that's a good thing. He did the small things good. And I was surprised by D'Ambrosio too, because I was always reluctant on him. He's not a bad player, but I've never considered him a right back. So I think that him as a right center back in a three-man defense is a perfect fit.
So, Hristo, now that you said that, no player playing for us anywhere should be a concern for you because we have Conte now, right?
I mean,
you can't criticize any player now saying that, right?
No, not criticize, but it's easier for a player to cover his weaknesses when they're playing a system.
I get that, but it's Ranocchia, bro. He's been awful for years now.
Of course.
There must be some apprehension or some concern when he comes into the lineup.
Of course, but
yeah, that's what I was hinting at. Just a little bit, because you hear that name and you think of all the bad stories that we're trying to get past, and to hear that name on the first day with the new coach and the system was nice. But he did. to your defense, he did look decent. The less you have to hear about him, the better. He did what he was asked for the most part. And I noticed him carrying the ball closer to the midfield more than anybody else in that defense. If it wasn't going straight out to one of the wingbacks, it was going from Ranocchia to BrozoWIN, really.
Yeah, and even Ranocchia had a few passes towards Asamoah when he came out of the defense and passed the ball from the center of the pitch to Asamoah. So to get to the Chino's question, I'm not saying that maybe I'm not good at proving or saying my point to the fullest.
Sorry. I didn't mean it like that.
No, but when you have a system, we all agree that Ranocchia is a fifth choice for our defense. So we have two starting center backs that are not playing. So I'm not saying Ranocchia is gonna start or is worth starting, but at the same time he's not liability. He was a liability with any other coach rather than now. But yeah, I agree with both of you when it comes to the playing out of the defense and him being really decent today.
But we learn.
Yeah, something in the first half that stood out to me before we really started taking the game is we started out kind of slow, and the press that Lecce put on a few times was pretty effective. when you had Skriniar and Brozovic, and I think Asamoah to an extent, they were all being pressed into that left corner for Inter. And it just, I was a little nervous there. And then Brozovic played a pass across the mouth of the goal that really, I don't know, it gave me a little bit of a scare with Lapadula running onto it. But I felt like after we got past those first few issues that we started to kick on a little better. But I still felt like Lecce had a few chances, and I felt like we were at risk of conceding one of those trademark shit goals that we seem to concede.
Yeah, like saying that and having like, yeah, I agree with you. Especially with the part like Brozovic is our best passer without a doubt, and I think that up until last season he was irreplaceable. Now that we have Sensi, when Brozovic has like accumulated yellow cards or he's suspended for a game or two, I don't think that we have anything to worry about because Sensi can play his role, and both Vecino and Barella can come in, and we have a three-man midfield, central midfielders. They're like very, very good for the league that they're playing in.
Well, I don't know about
Yeah,
you, but I think Barella and Vecino need to step up a little bit. But I don't want to get into that right now. Right?
yeah, we'll move into that.
Yeah. But what you were
So
saying, Mikey, we really did look kind of nervous to start off. And
yeah, and
I don't want to read too much into it because, I mean, it's the first game of the season. First game for a couple of the guys who started. Lukaku, first
yeah,
game. Sensi's first game. Who else? That was it?
just those two came in. These were their
Yeah.
debut.
And they were a little nervy at the start, but as the game progressed, as the first half progressed, we settled down nicely. And I can't complain about them at all. Everybody looked like they were moving forward and trying to do their best. And like they had ideas about what Conte wanted from them, and they were trying to perform and put it into action.
What we spoke
Yeah,
about,
I
like
felt like
in
Berlin. Oh,
what
go
we
ahead.
spoke in the previous episodes, like came out like true, because we spoke about the midfielder scoring, and both Sensi and Brozovic scored, but also like Mikey had a point about the players shooting outside the box in the preseason, like more than often. And Mikey, you said like you wasn't sure if that was the case or you're just like tripping or whatnot. But like that came
Yeah,
out like true today because Brozovic scored out of the box, Candreva scored, Sensi almost scored outside the box. He was on the line, so I mean that's a good sign. That's something that we didn't do in previous seasons.
yeah. Now that I've been able to watch and we've watched more and we've seen an actual competitive game, I feel like that is a product of this system because you have the two strikers on the two center backs, and then Cincy will come forward, Brozovic is forward. That third midfielder is usually holding back a little bit, and then one or both of the wing backs are also pushed up. So you've got two center backs with two strikers matched up, and then you have the wing backs on the opposing fullbacks. So you have that space when those guys push up. There's going to be that space left on the edge of the box for these guys to try to curl in like they did today.
Exactly, they're pushing up the field, and what we already said throughout the preseason, and what really impressed me, both our attack and defense are pushing up the field, and that's something that we didn't do under Spalletti. And Spalletti has always been about crossing the ball and just getting Icardi to score somehow. Today we've seen like Sensi, Brozovic score outside the box, them being composed on the ball, them providing both Asamoah and Candreva with balls, and we were like really decent in the midfield. I really like that. Um, Lautaro was kind of wasteful today. He had so many shots, he didn't score. But I think that him and Lukaku can work together, like one of the best pairing in Italy. That's for sure. I mean, who else has two strikers that are as good as them? Nobody. So, like, and also Lukaku like was very impressive. I expected nothing less from him. His link-up play was decent, even though in the podcast he said he was not a target man. but him playing with his back towards the opposition's goal, and the runs he makes, he's fast, he dribbles. I like him a lot.
Yeah, Lukaku looked really good after the first few minutes. That I felt like he was feeling out kind of how the defense works in Italy, and he was feeling out what Lautaro was going to give him. And to your point, where you were talking about how everyone's pushing up into the attack and contributing, I feel like we also saw a little bit of the byproduct of that, the negative side effects. When they got Lecce had a few decent counterattacks that got pretty hairy, like with
Yeah.
Lapadula trying to chip Handanovic. Like, I'm pretty sure that was off of a counter, and Handanovic tried to come off the line. After all the counterattacking kind of subsided and we got a grip on the game, the goals started coming. We had the Sensi goal, or we had the Brozovic goal first, and then the Sensi goal. Both were equally amazing in their own ways. And that goes back to what we were talking about before with all that space and how these guys are going to have these chances. And they're already starting to take them well, and that's pretty promising to me.
Just a sec, let me think.
Okay, so what I liked about it, though, in the first half, Lukaku and Lautaro, they looked all right, but they weren't very sharp. They didn't seem very sharp. And it was a great sign, I think, for us that even though our attackers or forwards weren't really linking up as great as yet, that the people from the midfield, the guys from the midfield actually stepped up and took the game by the scruff of the neck and, got us the goals. It's so refreshing. And if we could continue with something like this throughout the season, I'd be very happy. We're not reliant on one person to just score all the goals anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's
effective,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, that's something we've been begging for however long now. That nobody from the midfield scores. Like, we had a really low number scoring from the midfield last year, and I don't think the year before that was too much better.
Yeah.
But to have these guys contributing this early, hopefully it continues, and these weren't just a couple of lucky goals to get in.
No, it didn't seem lucky. It didn't seem lucky at all. It was 3 well-taken goals from the midfield today.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the
we also we also saw this in the preseason, so I will rule out any part of luck in it.
Yeah.
I would blame Lecce's players most of the time, I think, just because they didn't cover when both Sensi and Brozovic started, or had a bit of space to shoot. And even with Candreva, nobody actually went out to mark him or block his shot. They didn't even try.
From that distance, I don't know. That was a tough one.
Yeah, but nobody came out to
Nobody
try
was
it
expecting that. That was really far. Candreva was like, wow.
I mean,
well, the
3
Candreva
goals
one,
like
they were
that?
already they were pretty defeated by then. They had already had the red card, and I think they were just trying to get to full time without losing 7-0.
Prime Mike on there, no? For sure.
Oh. I mean, the goal was like decent. I really like. I mean, we've seen Brozovic score goals like this, but Sensi going through few players
Yeah.
in Lecce's defense, I was impressed by that. I was like, go on, lad.
I mean, he's talking about his affinity with Barca, and he tried to channel his inner Messi there with the dribbling. With the Brozovic goal, I felt like it was almost choreographed in a way for it to go like it did, where it went from Candreva to Asamoah, who touched it briefly, down to Brozovic, who took it on his second touch. I felt like that was set up that way, and that is part of the system, like we've been talking about. And if it continues like this, and these guys can keep putting these shots on target, it's really going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, Brozovic can shoot with both feet, so we've seen him last season and the season prior that he scored like some crucial goals, some goals similar to this one, but he didn't shoot at all throughout last season. Maybe once or twice, I don't remember even. But yeah, I won't add anything except that it's not up to luck, as Chino pointed out. It's more of a trained thing that takes place into the trainings, and I think, yeah, that's it.
Is it
So
something you worry about though? Like with a lot of this reliability being on long shots, since we need these goals from the midfield. And if it was just one day that the shots weren't going in or anything, do you worry that that's going to be an issue?
I think it's an extra option. I don't think, and I mean, really, I wouldn't say Brozovic's shot was already a long shot. It was right outside the penalty box. It's just an added dimension to the team that we have. We have guys who can score, Lukaku. I think it's just an extra option that we can't complain about at all. It's only for our benefit.
Yeah. I just
Absolutely.
don't have negative takes on just the goal input, because the way somebody put it on Twitter I saw was that the Cincy and Brozovic goals were goals outside of the 18-yard box. The Lukaku goal was a rebound, and Candreva was another long shot. And I guess I got to thinking after that maybe this, with some luck, some bad bounces, that it could have just been like maybe 2-0, or not even really, maybe 1-0 at worst.
I mean, that's what if. What if last season, I don't know, the ball didn't go into Icardi 15 out of the 20 times that it did? We would have been seventh place. Those are what ifs. I think that we have a lot of quality up front, two strikers that can finish the ball. Now with Alexis coming, a player that has created so many chances in
Is
such a
that
little.
is that definite?
DiMarzio said like 20 minutes ago that is very, very close.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's gonna go through.
That's
But
great.
all of them creating for themselves, they can score inside the box. The midfielders, we've seen Sensi in preseason being as composed as any other striker in the league. Him playing one-on-ones, Brozovic scoring against Sampdoria last season in the 90th something minute to win the match. So I don't think it's a fluke. Just because they've done it before, they scored inside the box, and we've seen Vecino that he can both cross the ball and score a couple of headers.
Yeah, Mikey needs to stop following Milan accounts. That sounds like a Milan account tweeted that shit. That's a real negative.
I mean,
Hey
you
man,
sounded like a Juventus Twitter account.
Yeah. I mean, how could you really complain about that game?
I'm not
No, it's not
complaining.
Oh, I
complaining.
mean, not Mikey
Playing.
himself, but whoever it was, trying to
I
diss
mean,
you with something.
I mean, the
Really?
question is valid, really. Like, what if they didn't go in? I mean, that's playing the devil's advocate. I think that,
It's 4 goals,
yeah.
though. There were 4 goals that,
I
we
mean,
could say that didn't, maybe
I,
4 goals didn't go in. Come on, is that a
I,
1-0 win?
I agree with you, but I'm looking the other perspective too. Just
Forget,
giving out
for,
something to think about.
forget those guys.
Yeah, and also what if Lapadula had put more on that lob shot or anything else?
Yeah.
It's
I
just
mean,
playing one.
that is
I think it's too slippery of a slope to do.
that is football. But at the end of the day, we came out with a clean sheet. It was a good performance. We could improve. It was the first game of the season. It was not anything close to our starting back three. I mean, really, we have to accept that Handanovic came out there like a madman trying to slide Lapadula. I was a little concerned about that, but whatever. We came out with a clean sheet. Moving
Yeah.
on. It could only get better.
hmm They
Really.
didn't.
Handanovic was off his line today, and it was kind of strange to see to me. He was coming out and punching a lot more and
Yeah.
diving a lot more, and then he went all the way out for that stop on the fast break. I don't know if that was told to him or if he was just like, fuck these guys in front of me, I'm gonna do it myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it had something to do with who was in front of him. Is Vernocchia in front of him?
Nah, I think
Yeah.
somebody told him he's not a
Ex-
player to
Exactly.
come out of his line.
Exactly. He's like, hey, yo, we have an injury to DeVry. Vernocchia is gonna be in front of you. You get in there and you stop any ball you see coming into that box. Right?
I mean, that may be part of it, but as you said, like Ranocchia and Ambrosio won't be first choice center backs as soon as Godin and De Vrij are fully fit. Both Lautaro and Lukaku didn't play together, I think, right? Maybe
I
they
think
played
a few
the
minutes
last
ago, no?
friendly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vecino didn't play much because of the injury and because of the international break that he had. So, like half of the team isn't really integrated into the system as of yet. They didn't play a lot in preseason, but even even with that in play, we still scored 4 goals and kept a clean sheet. So everything points out towards a good season.
So, how did you guys feel about Lukaku overall?
Oh,
He did pretty well. I really liked when he shrugged off whoever it was that tried to get him. Like, why would you even try to do that with this guy?
they
What
forgot
did you guys
that's not
think
Icardi.
about his?
What's that?
They forgot that it's not Icardi and just bully off the ball.
Yeah, he really looked like he added a different dimension to our attack. It was, I mean, I'm a big Icardi fan. It was really nice or different to see our striker running at a defender and getting past him. It was like, whoa, I haven't seen this for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I don't know. Like I say, I think he'll get better. I must say, he isn't. Well, I mean, he is a big guy. He looks like he's getting fit, and he'll only get fitter. Candreva looks slim. Asamoah looks extremely slim. Like these guys are fit and ready to go.
I mean,
Speaking of Moa, I thought he had a great game on the
yeah,
left wing.
this is his
Uh,
position with Conte.
Yeah, he's more back in his preferred position, and you can really tell. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about how at left back in Spalletti's system, he looked okay, but he had those slip ups like he did against PSV and such. And I feel like he won't have as many of those in this system that he is, of course, really familiar with, and he's fit back in like Conte had never left him. Asamoah, he was moving, he was going forward great, he was carrying the ball a lot, he was covering when he needed to cover, he was cutting in, he was going wide. I saw no issue, no fault in his game today. And he stood out for me. I wouldn't call him man of the match, but he was top
definitely.
3.
As you said, like he won't make the mistakes that he did last season. But I think because of that, and because of him playing a bit up the field, now that that space behind him is a bit like open, and Skriniar will suffer a bit just because he's not used to the system yet. We saw that in the preseason. He's not used to playing with Ranocchia and D'Ambrosio with 3 at the back.
I felt
So I
sorry
think
for
that
him. I
yeah,
honestly
yeah,
felt sorry for him. I was like,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, but like I expect from him to make a few mistakes until he is fully integrated into all of the playing styles. But Lukaku, we were talking about Lukaku. Like as Chino said, he added a new dimension to our team. We never was the last player that we had that's like as strong as him. I mean, for his height and weight, I think he's extremely fast. He is good with his feet. He's dreaming a lot. Um, his I don't know, his link up with Lautaro was, I would say, pretty good. Like having in mind that it's only the first game in the season and the first game that both of them are playing together. So for a player that has been like crucified by Manchester United fans, he did good.
I mean, I see any potential there, and I'm not totally sold by him as yet, to be honest. He had
I
a
mean,
couple of bad touches, and then you just want to bust out laughing at him a little bit. But
but like
I guess you
everybody
just
does
holding on.
that.
Exactly, yeah. But
Like
he comes with that reputation, right?
yeah, I was gonna
So
say that. Like
every time you see it happen or anything like that, you just you want to hold your head and like, oh my god,
exactly, like everybody makes mistakes, but when somebody like him makes a mistake, you were like, oh fuck, people were right when they said that.
Yeah.
With my
Like,
cut off.
I
But
don't know what to do.
what the fuck? No, it's okay.
He
It's
can
his
join back,
internet.
right? He can just join.
Yeah, I think he can click the link.
No, but I don't know how to what I think about Lukaku as yet at all though. Like he really looked like he could be good, but I don't know. It's touch the suspect to me.
I mean, fuck that. I
Like
think that
he'll score goals and whatnot, but I don't see him being prolific.
I mean, we said last week, like, I don't want him to be at 30. I mean, I don't want him. I don't
I
expect
mean, you
from
don't
him.
mind, obviously.
Yeah. I won't mind if he scores 30 goals, but I don't think he will because now we have, like, other players that can contribute with the goals. Like, BrozoWIN scored a goal, Sensi scored a goal, Candreva did so. Lautaro will score a goal eventually because he had 8 shots or 7 or 8 shots on Lecce's goal. So I think he can only improve, and Conte wanting him for so long can only did him good.
Yeah, I don't think there's really too much more to add on Lukaku. I think he had a really great game, and I think that he's only going to learn this system more. And did you guys hear the way that just the crowd was on it every single time he touched the ball? Like when he scored that goal, that was the loudest I've heard that stadium in a long time.
And
I think everyone's behind him, and I think that he's just going to keep getting better. And he's a joy to watch. He's a different guy from what we've had, and I'm just excited to see where it goes. You can see Conte's happy with it. I think it's going to work out for
everybody's
everyone.
happy with him, especially like everybody likes him, and I think they were celebrating the goal even more just because he has the number 9 now, and what Icardi did to the fans and to the club in the past, I don't know, 6-7 months, that only contributed to the fans being even more excited about him.
Lukaku has scored more with the number 9 on his back in Milan than
gosh.
Piontek has scored with the
Ooh.
number 9 on his back.
And not only that, he scored more goals than Icardi did from an open play in the last 10 months. So
Oh, come on. I wasn't even going to go there. You got to play
yeah.
to actually score a goal.
I mean, he was injured,
I
right?
hate you guys, you know.
He had an
Jeez.
injury.
Yeah, he did, you know what I mean?
His pride,
The new king is
torn
right.
pride,
Like,
out for 6 to 8 months.
Did you see Esposito being like even more excited than I was when Lukaku scored? He was like out there.
Yeah. What was that about?
That's a
I didn't
real
understand
tutor, bro. A mentor.
That's like
Everyone, I liked seeing that everyone was coming out to celebrate the goals. I don't know if that's some passion merchant type stuff, but just to see everyone it's fun to see. And then like clips from Conte's celebrations on the goals. I don't know. It's going to be fun.
Everybody going out to celebrate the goals. It's like World War II propaganda.
No, it's like Lukaku under a lot of pressure. You have to understand that. Right? He coming in, this whole situation with Icardi, whoever came in to replace him, and Lukaku came in to replace him with a big, I don't care what anybody says, is a big price tag. He's the highest paid player on the team. He has pressure on him. All right?
Exactly.
So, you know, people, his teammates and all want to see him do well. I don't think anybody... It's have nothing, no slight towards Icardi or anything like that because they celebrate him with him over. But I mean, the guy comes in. This is the guy who the team is going, or the club is going to rely on. You know, everybody is happy to see him. You know, get off the mark. I mean, he is a lot of hate he was getting from England. You know,
a lot.
You know, and, English fans and everybody. And I mean,
England was
Italy
still
too. I mean, they started to talk about his weight and whatnot. And thing, remember he posted on Instagram his 6-pack and whatnot and thing for the Italian media. You know, so. He's been getting a lot of flack from people, so everybody seems to be happy with him that, you know, he got off the mark and, you know, relieved some of the stress or the pressure on him.
In more than one way, Lukaku is massive.
The obsession of Italian fans and Italian journalists with Lukaku's, you know what? It's fucking cringy.
So why are you bringing it up? Why are you bringing it up for?
Mikey did. I'm just commenting.
Stands up to all these guys and he's like, fuck you guys, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to score goals because that's what I do. Like, he talked about the podcast he was on. I listened to that too, and he was just saying, he was like, I'm going to score goals. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to go out there and it doesn't matter who I play for. I'm going to score goals.
I mean, he scored, except last season, in the previous like 3 or 4 seasons, he scored 20 or more goals in arguably one of the best leagues in Europe. So, I mean, I expect at least 15 goals in this league for him, especially with opponents like Lecce and later on Brescia. Who else? Verona. Like there are like 4 or 5 goals at least in those games for him. So we've been struggling against the smaller oppositions last season and the season prior to that. So the addition of Lukaku, who apparently scores only against the small teams,
He's a bully. Flat track
Yeah.
bully.
I don't mind that at all. Like if he can score 2 goals every game that we play against a smaller opposition, we are feasting.
Okay, calm down.
I mean,
Oh, you said feasting, right?
Yeah.
I
Oh, I thought you said fisting. I was like, what?
No, like your
Uh,
dirty mind, bro.
Well, I don't know. I was like, we are fisting. I was like, what, bro? Very good.
I mean, it was only the 2 seasons at United that he wasn't scoring against top opponents. At
Everton.
At Everton, he was still scoring. Yeah, at Everton, he was still scoring against those guys. It was just when he got to United, and the United wasn't that great with him around. I mean, the Mourinho days were still good, but the circus around him, and he didn't have the talent around him that, well, he did have more talent, but he didn't have the system around him that he knew.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't a good fit. And I think coming here, I think he'll score against our top 6 in this league. I don't really worry about
Do we have
that.
a top 6 in this
And
league?
scoring on his
We have top 2.
I said we don't really have a top 6 in this league.
Well, the top 6 in general, whatever's going to be 1 through 6, he's going to score against just about every team. I will dare to say.
Talking about Manchester, like we've seen like world-class players in Falcao, Di Maria, Schweinsteiger being absolute shit in their club. So I don't think it's the Lukaku situation is any different to it, because he's not a problem. Obviously, when you have a world-class manager in Mourinho and you want him out, Di Maria is like ruining every single defensive player in the French league, and even against top opponents. So and even he did that at Real Madrid. So I don't think that Lukaku is the one to blame in this situation, because he was, as he said, wrongly used in a situation in which was toxic for most players. And like we'll see that. I hope that situation with Sanchez too, because in this league, I think he'll only prosper, and especially with Conte as a manager.
Bro, but
Yeah.
the thing with Lukaku is, though, he gained a lot of weight. I mean, you can talk about the team not being good or the
But why did
the
he do
style
that?
of football. I mean, why he probably depression
Mourinho
or
wanted
something?
Mourinho
I don't
wanted
know.
him to.
What does make you put on all this weight? I don't know. Had to be depression. Look at Snyder. How's
No.
Snyder looking these days?
Mourinho said he wanted a striker, like a target man. He was the one that instructed Lukaku, as far as I know, to gain weight and to be like bulkier.
Okay, well, I don't know. But, I mean, as a fan watching that game and you see a guy who's supposed to be this professional and doing well, put on all this weight
Shut up
during
with
the
that
season.
weight talk, bro.
Well, I'm
Don't-
just saying, I mean, it's easy to make him a target. He has become a target. Everybody was underperforming. But if you see a guy putting on like 15, 20 pounds during the fucking season, you know, it's like, what is this guy doing here? He's not a professional. So I can understand they hate towards him. It makes it
Well,
easier to target somebody like that, right?
Everyone had their grudges against Lukaku at United. It didn't matter whether you thought it was because of his weight or if you thought he wasn't good enough or what. Somebody had something to say about him there.
I mean, just seems easy to target somebody who you see putting on weight and who is overweight. You know? I'm not saying it right or anything like that or whose fault it is, but I can see why he became an easy target. That's all.
All right, one more point on Lukaku is he has now scored on every single debut he's had. His Anderlecht debut, he scored. His
Whoa.
Everton debut, he scored. His West Brom debut, he scored. His Man U debut, and now
Chelsea?
Seriously, you should have put a bet on that. Why didn't tell us this before, Mikey?
Why he holding out information?
Yeah.
like he's an FBI agent. I mean,
There
that's
is
impressive, honestly. Like, you have to have a certain mentality to do that.
So, I mean, that's most of the match summed up. There's also Candreva's goal, which, I mean, none of us expected. Well, I guess you kind of expect it because it's the first time he's at risk of losing a position. Of course, he's going to go out and score his goal of his career. Like, with that guy, man.
Was that amazing?
But
wow.
It was not like a goal. It reminded me of his goals with Lazio when he was at Lazio. We didn't see something similar well at Inter, but I don't know. Like, he gets a lot of hate from Inter fans, and rightfully so, I think. I mean, he doesn't look like like a true winger. I wouldn't say he's like the Sterling of football, but I think he's more fitted towards like that right wing back position because he's decent at tracking back. He's meh
Oh
at
my
going
god!
forward.
Oh my gosh!
But yeah, it's the same case with Asamoah. Asamoah made like few mistakes last season as a left back, and now his mistakes will be hopefully turned into positives when going forward. And I hope it's the same case with Candreva because we need some competition in every position because we cannot have a position that's like a player feels comfortable within it.
I'm trying to remember who's the guy who always complains about Candreva, because he can track back.
I don't
He's
know.
always gonna start because
What?
because he can track back. There's some guy who's on Twitter who always complains about Candreva starting because for the reason being is because he can track back or he does track back better than
I've never interacted with that person.
Yeah, I think it's Jose.
Venezuelan dog.
Yeah.
Hustler.
Yeah.
So, who do you guys think was the man of the match, and also who do you have as a flop of the match?
I'm giving Candreva man of the match. I think he was good from the beginning, from the first half. I think he was a standout on the first half, going forward and tracking back. And then that goal, I'll give it to him because you probably won't get it again for the rest of the year.
Mike?
I'll give it to Brozovic. I think he's my man of the match just because there was a little bit of uncertainty with how, at least for me, how he was going to come into this formation and if he was still going to be that same guy that Spalletti unlocked and that we've seen with Croatia. But I feel like he slotted in and he could have had a second goal, but he slotted in and he's doing everything that he was doing before effortlessly, and I'm really glad to see it.
I think so too. Like, I think Brozovic was the best performer on the field today. He had so many like great things all around him, and the stats only prove that. Like, he was the player with most interceptions, if I'm not mistaken. Player with most completed passes, which is like impressive. Like, he had 130 touches and 102 passes, which is most on the field. 3 interceptions and 3 tackles made, also most on the field. 5 take ons, 4 shots, 1 goal. Like, he was an anchor for us, a huge player for us today. And I think he's the man of the match. As far as the flop of the match, I think...
Vecino, sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't say mine. Vecino, for sure.
Yeah, Vecino has to be the one because I didn't see much of him. But like we've seen in the preseason too, that the player that plays on the right center midfield position is as invisible as they come. Like Vecino today was invisible. Barella in the games that he played in the preseason. Gagliardini at the start of the preseason. So I think Conte has to work on that too.
Rest in peace, El Mate FC.
Well, I kind of agree because I think that part of that system is the more defensive part because you see Brozovic and you see Sensi kind of pushing forward and getting these shots that they got their goals on. And I think Vecino was just kind of sitting back a little bit and providing that cover. And none of the play is really running through him because you've got this understanding that has come up between Brozovic and Sensi. Like, these guys have got it going, and then the wingbacks are carrying the ball a lot more. So I feel like that midfield role on the right side is just kind of a passenger role almost.
It can't be. Something is wrong there. I don't know. I don't think that's by design.
It can always be fixed, but if that's the worst we're gonna have right now, there are much more problems to have. There are teams with way more glaring problems than we have at this point.
I don't know. Midfield get overrun for a player like that. I don't know. I think it might have a lot to do with how good Sensi and BrozoWIN have been linking together. That makes that position in the right side of the midfield look like it's not doing as much or not, because those two players have been exceptional. So it could be that, but I'll just leave it there.
Still one game.
See.
We still got a lot to see.
Yeah.
You can tell these guys because every time there was a ball being played and they were running at the goal, there was always an arm out. There was always someone pointing, kind of directing traffic or saying, hey, when I'm here, I'm going to want this ball played. And when they learn these cues from each other, it's going to move a lot faster too. And there's going to be a lot being made, especially for the strikers.
So I think that's about all we can say for the Lecce match. Next week, looking ahead, or this week too, the Champions League draw is coming up. I'm sure we'll all have eyes on that. We've got some teams that we'd all like to avoid and some teams that we hope we can get. And we have, looking ahead, the match against Cagliari, our first away trip. It'll be Barella's homecoming, and it'll be us facing Raja for the first time, which I'm sure will be nervy.
Emotional.
Yeah, emotional.
What? Emotional for who?
For me, it's emotional for me. It's like seeing your ex in public.
How would you know?
True.
So they lost to Brescia this past week. So I didn't watch the match, but I imagine you have to look pretty bad to lose to Brescia as they just came up. You're at home and you give up a penalty and someone with the last name of Donnarumma scores it. Like, you got to be doing pretty bad.
Their team is quite decent, though. I expected from them to win the match against Brescia, except they didn't. And
you think too highly of Raja?
No, the team is decent. Like,
but they've got some good players, man.
Popoletti, Birsa, João Pedro, Nandes, Nainggolan. I mean, they're better than De Sena, who's 57, Spalek, and Bisoli.
I don't know exactly what you're talking about. What is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's Brescia's team.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
So what do you guys think about that match?
Gastaldello is still playing. The guy that injured Samuel in 2011, I think, that played for Sampdoria.
What?
Daniele Gastaldello.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard that name in a really long time.
Yeah, he's at Brescia.
I don't know. I think we're going to Cagliari and we're gonna win. Might not be as convincing as this 4-0 victory here, but I think we'll come out at least with 2 goals. A 2-0 victory for sure.
I'll go with either 1-0 or 2-1 for us, of course. I'll go with 2-1 for us. I would say Lautaro and Lukaku and Raja for Cagliari. A screamer from 30 meters out.
Nah, he probably might get injured during that game.
Nah, I'll go 2-1, and I think it's going to be Lukaku again. And I think Asamoah is going to get a goal. And
you really think somebody going to breach our defense, bro?
Hey,
I think our defense is going to be rock solid this season.
We don't know how bad De Vrij is off. We probably won't have Godin back yet. We could see another week of Ranocchia and D'Ambrosio in the defense against a better attack. And that's going to be nightmare fuel if that happens. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully at least De Vrij's back. And if we have De Vrij back, I think we still give up a goal. And I think Pavoletti gets it because he always scores for them.
This is Conte season. We're going to wipe them.
I hope so. And we could have some new faces maybe playing. Well, at least on the bench. We could have supposedly Alexis being done tomorrow for the 400th time. And the Dalbert Baraghi swap, which Dalbert has finally agreed to. So he could be over too. And it could really, maybe we get a couple of shots from those guys, a couple of debuts. But maybe we see Lazaro too in the match against Cagliari. There's just a lot that Conte can do with his rotations already.
But I don't know, Candreva looked like he stamped his, authority on that position there.
Especially with like Lazaro not playing much minutes in the preseason. We don't know the injury of De Vrij. Who else?
I hope he could get some minutes today, though, after we went up 3-0 or 4-0. I thought we could have bring in Lazaro.
Yeah, hopefully Cincy wasn't too bad off either. He came up with what looked like a cramp, but hopefully that's just heavy legs from training. That's all we have really this week. I think we've talked everything that we've had. Next week we'll have some more stuff. We'll have the Champions League draw will have happened, like we said before. The transfer window will have closed, and we'll have a final verdict on Icardi, whether he's staying or going, and we can give some thoughts on the full transfer window. So you guys be around for that and the match against Cagliari, and we'll talk to you guys then.